Okay. How do I start this? It wasn't G4. Nah, can't write that. That's not fair. Where are the Wendigos? No, Dr. Wolf and others already addressed that, never mind. Where? No. I can't spell. Yeah. Or type. God, this is always the hardest part of any video. Where are the alicorn princesses? Who cares about them? Alicorns are dumb. Even though she becomes one at the end, for God's sake. It had ponies in it. There, that'll do. Now you can get on with the rest of your lives, alright? And I can get on with mine.
Hey Maddie, when you're done breaking the fourth wall, I got the G5 review script stored in my cerebral cortex.
Does that mean I get to break your skull?
You know what? These jokes write themselves half the time. You want the baseball bat and barbed wire or the death claw gauntlet?
Best therapy ever. Now that I have made you all conjure up Mary Sue defying paradoxes, like how did Maddie manage to break Mary's skull when she has the best skull ever and therefore should be unbreakable?
Hey, my skull only broke because I let you do it. Also, I'm like Prometheus. My brain grows back overnight. It's like the best health plan ever.
Hey Mary, what part of the brain controls voice function?
Oh, that would be the frontal lobe, but wait a minute!
Any excuse to squeeze in a Fallout reference.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
You know, at this point you should be impressed I haven't managed to squeeze in a Disney Hercules reference.
He's a magnificent horse.
Citizens!
Oops. And how I even managed to squeeze in a pointless reference to Greek mythology in a video about pastel-coloured ponies that had nothing to do with the Pegasi. On a more serious note, the My Little Pony franchise means a lot to me, and those who have been stalking me on my YouTube channel for the last 5 years or so will have a good idea why. Focusing on the topic at hand though, this new generation of My Little Pony is something that has been met with a lot of skepticism and cynicism that seems to only be grounded on the expectation that this generation needs to fill in the gaps from the last generation's narrative and explain what happened between Generation 4 and Generation 5 and how this movie connects to the Generation 4 series and movie. And if it doesn't do that, it is instantly considered to be bad. I respond with that by saying, hey, that's what fan fiction is for. That and, fulfilling some fan service. For me, I try to avoid as much news and leaks about this movie as humanly possible, which thanks to social media is next to impossible. I was lucky enough to watch the movie with friends on first viewing over a Discord call though. Hey guys, wanna hear Lightning Bliss's reaction to seeing the Terminator Pony movie poster in real time?
Did you see that? Hold on. Okay, you see those posters in the back, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait till you see what the main feature is playing. I gotta see if we can pause it at the right moment.
Yeah, rewind it. Oh my gosh! No! How did I miss that? Oh no! Okay, I'm crying because I'm laughing so hard.
I think we broke her.
Oh my god! No way! Oh no!
I knew you would really get a kick out of that.
I can't stop laughing. Look at his jaw! It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger the pony! Holy cow! It's great! Okay, Okay, get it together. We have to continue watching. Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna have to mention that when I do a review. You know I will.
Guess
Okay.
who has the audio of your reaction? And like any good friend, I recorded the reaction and used the sound to fill in the runtime for my review video. Because friendship is magic. Every decade or so, MLP is completely reimagined with a different focus, different design, and sometimes different animated media.
Oh my god, kill it with fire!
G5 marks a major turning point for this franchise since it starts off with an all-new movie made entirely in CG with a whole new cast of characters. It's also the first time that a new generation is set in the same universe as the previous generation. Though it's never made clear how much time has passed since the events of G4, we know that Twilight Sparkle and the rest of the characters from Friendship is Magic have become mere legends, and the three pony kinds, Earth Pony, Pegasi, and Unicorns, have somehow become segregated from each other, living in a world full of paranoia, prejudice, and fear. So let's talk about how G5 is connected to G4. Or rather, let's talk about how many people are concerned that this movie didn't explain how this all happened. Why are all the three pony races segregated? I mean, it's set in the same world, but it's pretty vague as to how things changed so much since the events of G4. And a lot of people are saying, hey, Twilight Sparkle failed, friendship is no longer magic. Prejudice and fear is not the same thing as hatred. If the races hated each other, then we would assume that would summon the Wendigos like they did in the heartwarming story from Generation 4. This segregation is more based on fear, and maybe multimedia is to blame here? Movies made basically demonizing unicorns and Pegasi? Mere parodies of popular movies and shows in mainstream media? Or is it more of a comment on how influential multimedia really is in today's world in regards to how various races and nationalities are represented in mainstream media? I mean, how many of you thought of Groundskeeper Willie or, you know, the film Braveheart when you came across my channel for the first time?
Damn Scots! They ruined Scotland!
Culture, traditions, and ancient lore is lost or buried under popular multimedia. Ponies don't seem to care about being friends anymore and find the idea boring, as seen when Sunny, Sprout, and Hitch are playing together. Sunny says all the pony kinds used to be friends in ancient times, and Sprout says that it's wrong. Also, am I wrong, or does Sprout have the same energy as Nuka from The Lion King too?
Mother, are you watching?
Let's throw these two into the mix for good measure too.
That play, that Oedipus thing? Man, I thought I had problems.
Sprout is a funny antagonist in the sense that he's a little pathetic mama's boy, but also in the sense that he has a Napoleon complex that is nurtured unintentionally by his mother. In earlier drafts of the movie, Sprout's mech machine thingy was modelled after his own mother's likeness. Too subtle. Though having the mech basically be a giant version of himself also begs the question.
Do you think maybe he's compensating for something?
He clearly wants to be in charge, but overcompensates in order to make ponies follow his orders brainlessly. Ambitious? Sure. Jealous? Absolutely. Being ordered around by Hitch, who does have a level of arrogance bordering on the ridiculous, while still managing to be professional and charming. Charm being a character trait Sprout definitely lacks. So instead we get treated to a punk rock song. Insert obvious reference to Smells Like Teen Spirit here. Paranoia is the irrational and persistent feeling that people are out to get you. Earth ponies being the most paranoid here since their magic is undefined. They're all about physical strength, having dominion over the land, skills with agriculture, and in this generation, technology. Feeling threatened by imagined antagonists like this fuels their need to invent things that gives them a sense of security. To me, Phyllis, who is taking advantage of this paranoia by, you know, basically profiting off of them, would have been far more interesting antagonist to me and provide the perfect opposite to Argyle. Though instead, the antagonist in this movie is much more abstract, being paranoia itself instead of having a literal theatrical big bad villain to defeat. Although, I have to admit, I do miss the theatrical big bad villains in MLP. Also, can I just say it's criminal that Sunny didn't use her skating skills to race that mech in the end? If you're going to set up a character to have a skill set like this, at least use it later. Seriously, whoever animated Sunny's skating deserves a cookie. Argyle is clearly fascinated with anthropology, as we see with all his research material. Anthropology is the study of what makes us human, or in this case, ponies. Anthropologists take a broad approach to understanding the many different aspects of the human experience which we call holism. They consider the past through archaeology to see how human groups lived hundreds or thousands of years ago and what was important to them then. For MLP to shift from a show about how everyone is friends and everything is fine because friendship is magic and everyone is friends with each other no matter who or what they are, to suddenly be a show about how one character has to literally picket a conference to tell ponies they don't have to fear those who are different from them. Fear is not your friend, bitch. Makes me wonder what happened to the school of friendship there. I find this fascinating since we didn't really get much of any real xenophobia or prejudice in G4, unless you count this asshole. I mean, there was some bullying from the Griffin Gilda toward Pinkie Pie, but I don't really see that as xenophobic. That's more of a personal thing. Though I have to admit, I wonder if this whole thing would have been better explained with more variety in the creatures depicted in the film, having more creatures other than ponies in this, or at least more eclecticism in the designs of the ponies, which seem to suffer from same face syndrome. Other than one or two background characters with slightly different body types, there's not all that much difference between the character designs other than colour, hair shape and horn and wings added on. This was probably one of my biggest gripes for MLP G4, at least from when it started. Things got more varied as the series went on, but here it just seemed to be a bit of a step backwards. Everyone looks the same again. Yeah, the main characters have very subtle differences like height and dimensions in the faces, etc. But I personally feel it was a little too subtle. Generation 4 had quite a range of different shapes and sizes for different races. I would have liked to have seen something more daring here, especially since we have CG animation now. It just would have been really interesting to see. But going back to the whole segregation thing.
There's something wrong with this yogurt.
It's not yogurt. It's mayonnaise.
Ooh, you said a bad word. Huh? Hee-haw, bing, bing bong, bing bong, bing bong.
Ugh, somebody had to write that.
What are we gonna do?
You look at the size of this. It's gotta be half a mile high at least. It must have taken hundreds, thousands of years to carve this thing.
Hey, look, I made a bridge. It only took me like, what, 10 seconds? 11 tops.
We know how things are now, but why? What happened? Does it really matter? Personally, I don't think we need to know what happened. Or at least, in my opinion, you can't expect a film to answer all of your questions when we know there's going to be a follow-up series. Maybe the series will answer more questions. Do we really need to know what happened between G4 and G5? In my mind, not really. Perhaps the G5 series will go into more detail. I just think it's really unfair to put so much pressure on a movie to answer all of these questions when it's supposed to be establishing a whole new cast of characters. This is only a 90-minute long film and it needs to take the time to let the audience connect with these new characters. Though there will be fans who will be unsatisfied with the film because of all the unanswered questions, wouldn't it be more fun to learn along with the characters what happened, instead of having an expositional dump in the film? It sure does give the series a lot to play around with, and I think that means it gives us more to look forward to. The way I see it is that MLP is a franchise that reboots every decade or so with a new generation. Tone, story, character and style will change with every new reiteration and that's perfectly fine to me. It's a toy line first and foremost after all and needs to reinvent itself to survive. This is the first time that two different reiterations are somewhat connected though. How they're connected may or may not be explained, but it's somewhat comforting to see that G4 is being remembered, even if it is with subtle fleeting moments. These handmade toys that represent the main 6 on G4, which were probably made by Argyle for Sunny, helped to teach Sunny what friendship is at a young age. That's what toys are meant to be for, after all, to teach us about empathy and to develop social skills and storytelling from a young age. I adore that in this movie we see Sunny, a little pony, playing with My Little Pony toys. Yeah, just remind the audience that this is a franchise for toys for kids to play with. Yes, it's fun to explore the lore and to come up with fan theories, etc, etc, but I just think it's really unfair to say that the G5 movie is bad just because it doesn't answer the questions we have about what happened between the events of G4 and G5. I think Zip being entranced by the poster of the Wonderbolts from G4 is probably the strongest callback, other than the toys that Sunny, Hitch and Sprout were playing with at the beginning of the movie. And yeah, the movie as a whole did have the same lively atmosphere that G4 did. The animation is awesome and the character designs work well, but if I had to nitpick, I have to say I really miss the slapstick Looney Tune comedy vibes that G4 had, or at least what it had in the early seasons anyway. G5 feels much more like if Disney did My Little Pony to me. Sure, G4 had some Disney vibes in it here and there as well, but visually and tonally it had much more of a zany feel. I suppose I would have been interested to see G5 go down a route similar to, say, the zaniness of Hotel Transylvania, which channels 1950s style cartoons in a CG movie. It's cute and fun, but for me personally the style was perhaps a little too safe. Other than that, I enjoyed this movie far more than I thought, and I look forward to seeing what comes next from MLP G5. I probably will make more videos about this movie because I really want to talk about that Danger Danger song, but I think it deserves an entire video to itself. Hey, I'm a punk rock chick at heart. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative. Best not to record the outro with a bit of chewing gum in my mouth, huh? Yeah, thanks for watching this video on the MLP G5 movie, guys. I'm so sorry that this took so long to get out and how little content has been posted on my YouTube channel recently. There has been a lot going on in real life that took priority, so yeah, thank you for your patience. I just want to say thanks to my patrons for supporting this channel, and if you want to show your support, you can do so by following a link in the description below to the Patreon where you can get exclusive rewards, which is pretty cool. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Stay creative.